You know how the story originally broke? The Packers podcaster named Big B.
Shout out, Big B.
Jamal Williams is inside the 30, out in front, a Green Bay touchdown.
Jamal Williams is the GOAT. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, let's keep it under 25 minutes, all right?
We might be too young to have a spotted cow, but we are both diehard Packers fans. Welcome back into the Underage Packers podcast. This is episode 144. Today we are here to preview the Green Bay Packers taking on the 1-3 Las Vegas Raiders. Green Bay comes into this game 2-2. They'll be traveling to Las Vegas for a Monday night game at Allegiant Stadium. Very excited for this. I'm Joey, and here to preview it with me is my co-host who is trying to evade being canceled today. Big B, how are we doing?
Vibes are amazing. You know, just a little bit ago had a tough loss in Matt Ramage trivia, but, you know, the vibes are back up now. We are ready to talk some football and look forward to facing Davante Adams for the first time, which would be so exciting.
Yeah, I've had this game circled on my calendar for quite a bit ever since Davante was traded. You know, one of my favorite players ever. So excited, you know, even if he's on the other side, excited to get to see him again. I don't know why I'm acting like I've been not allowed to watch any Raiders game of the past 2 years, but excited to see Davante at the reunion here. So let's get into this. I guess before we get into it, though, I did want to take a moment, just about an hour before we started recording this. Football legend Dick Butkus passed away. Just sad to lose him. Not only was he a legendary linebacker for the Chicago Bears, obviously, but in the past few years, he has been one of my favorite Twitter follows ever. He is constantly dunking on people, including Packers fans, and that, you know, even if he's dunking on Packers fans, he just completely embodies what it means to be a fan of the game of football. So sad to lose him. And, you know, of course, too, his nephew, Luke Butkus, is the Packers offensive line coach. So hope Luke and the rest of the family is doing all right. Big B, any condolences for Dick?
Yeah, just praying for Luke Butkus. Of course, me and him have kind of grown a bond with me being in Green Bay a bunch of times. So thoughts go out to him and, of course, the rest of the family. And it's just a tragic loss, you know, for Twitter and the NFL community. Like he's one of the best linebackers in NFL history and such an amazing player for the Bears. And, you know, he cooked the Packers for many years, you know, in retirement while playing. Like he's just one of those guys that every time you have to play the Bears, you always have to look at him and see how you can you know, work around him and try to minimize him. So, you know, really big loss for the NFL community.
Yes, and he also is, you know, at the butt of one of the greatest jokes on Modern Family, which I don't want to recall right now because I can't remember exactly line for line. But if you watch season 1 of Modern Family, there's a great episode where Cam and Jay are watching an Ohio State football game, I want to say, and there's a great Dick Butkus joke made. So go ahead and find that because it is a great part of an amazing show.
Yes.
All right, moving on from Dick Butkus, let's get into this Packers-Raiders game because that's what Dick Butkus would want us to do, all right? Talk some football.
Oh, yeah.
So Packers come into this game after a loss to the Lions. We never did recap that one just because it was just too depressing, I would say.
It's nothing to recap. You know, we got our asses kicked. All right, let's move on. All right, just throw it out the window. Let's go. Moving forward.
That is fair. Yeah, I mean, they look like straight garbage in the first half. In the second half, they look solid, but ultimately it's too little too late. And they sabotage themselves from having any chance at a comeback with, you know, Quay Walker on that penalty near the end of the game on that field goal. So we'll talk a little bit more about the performances from that game as well. You know, specifically with these very lethargic starts and then just going off in the second quarter. Like, the performances in the second half are amazing. That's all fine and dandy. It's great to see Jordan Love suddenly turn things on, but also, like, in every single game, even in the wins, they have been terrible, for a lack of a better term. Like, I think terrible does the job too, though. Terrible in the first half. And Pete Doherty, God bless that man, asked Matt after the Lions game, like, specifically with this one, what is leading up to these bad starts. And Matt, was angry at the question, and I think he brushes it off to start, and then Rob Tomofsky starts asking him a question before Rob can finish. Matt is like, he goes back and looks at Pete and says, "That's a BS question." Like, in what world is that a BS question, Matt? You looked awful in the first half in every single one of these games, and that's on coaching. That is on the execution of the players, but that is on coaching. What is the problem? You like, answer this, man. And to his credit, Matt did apologize to Pete the next day for, at the very least, how he responded. I don't think he ended up giving an answer, though. So something's got to change in the first half. The Packers currently lead the league in points scored in the second half with 77 total in the second half, which is good, but that's a large majority of their points. So just like start doing that more in the first half, and that would be great.
Yeah.
Another part that is bad about the Packers, this run defense, it's I was gonna say the same new week, same thing, but it's literally like new year, same thing, new decade, same thing. Like, it's just unbelievable at this point.
Like, when was the last time we had a good run defense? Like, it has to be like 1990, like 6 or 7, with like Reggie White and that defensive line. That was probably the last
Hey,
time.
probably when Dick Butkus was still playing, to be honest. That's probably the last
Hey,
time we
mate,
had a good run
probably.
defense. I
Who
mean,
knows?
geez Louise. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know enough about the teams before I was born to really say that, but please help us in the comments, because I think 2010 is probably a realistic best answer. But other than that, I mean, you just look at so many of the playoff losses of the past decade, and it's just like the run defense always seems to come up, whether it's allowing Colin Kaepernick back-to-back years to run all over you, whether it's, as of more recent, letting Raheem Mostert to go for 280,000 yards on you in one game, when he was an unknown commodity before then. So the run defense has always been a problem, and it continues to be. Joe Barry has let us down this train of false hope again, and here we are. And look, I just don't like to call for people to be fired, but to put it nicely, I can see Big B holding back his tongue right now as I say that. But but something's got to change on the run defense. And Matt addressed this after the game. He said, let's pull it up here. He said, we're going to have to do something different because it's insane to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Like, now you're coming to this conclusion after what? This is the third year with Joe Barry. Now you're coming to this conclusion that his light boxes aren't working, that even when a quarterback of the opposing team is not good, he is still playing and as if he's, shivering in his boots at the quarterback's arm. Like 2 weeks ago with Desmond Ridder, why are we so feared of him? Like, go heavy box, dare Desmond Ridder to beat you. I don't know. At this point, we've just become a broken record about the complications with this run defense, but it is frustrating to see them week in and week out do this. So that's got to be fixed. Big B, my next talking point was just Joe Barry, but I think I got my thoughts on him out of the way. Any thoughts you wanted to add into the ring?
Joey B, Joe Barry, Joseph Barry, I'm tired of them. I'm tired of watching, this defense get run over on, watching this defense not put their best players in the best positions to succeed. And I'm so tired of seeing our cornerbacks line up 25 yards off the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 1. I just can't stand this man anymore. I want him to be gone, but I also know like there's no like reason for him to be fired mid-season because that would just not help anything because it'd be still the same system like in everything. So I'm just so ready for him to be gone after this year. And if he's not gone after this year, I will put my head through my wall 45 times until I'm knocked out. So continue.
Yeah, I mean, we could really do a whole podcast episode about the frustrations of Joe Barry and the fact that Matt LaFleur refuses to move on from him. I mean, like I said this before, the whole thing with Joe Barry when he was hired, and I was on the front lines defending the hire because, in all of his past stints at defensive coordinator, he's with the Lions through their famous 0-16 season in 2008. He was with Washington in a time that I can't recall. The defenses were awful. So, but I defended him. I was like, it's the same exact reason they hired Matt. They hired Matt because they wanted to get in on the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay coaching tree. They wanted a bite of that scheme. With Joe Barry, they wanted a bite of the Vic Fangio scheme. They wanted to get in on that. So I, passionately defended the Joe Barry hire. But here we are, and he's just not capable of producing a solid defense as of yet. But I'd love for him to prove me wrong in the rest of the season.
Yeah, like I'm rooting for him because this team is a predicament to my mood every single week. If they win, I'm living life. We're winning the Super Bowl. If we lose, then I'm in deep depression. Another thing, that just irritates me is the man just does not like do halftime adjustments. I don't know why. And like another thing also that I'm just now remembering is the other team is going to run the football, but you still refuse to like load the box. Like you still got 4 guys out there, and there's like massive holes on the defensive line. Like the outside linebackers are like 10 yards away from like the interior defensive line. I'm just so tired of this, man. Like I just don't get it. The scheme just does not fit this defense, and I hate it. And this okay.
I feel like it's not even the scheme though. They just like. I mean, maybe it is, but
we need a clean slate. We just need to fire everybody, get everybody out of the room because it's just not working. Something is not working, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like it seems easy. Like I think I can do it. Maybe that's just me being cocky, but I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard. I do it on Madden every day. Like come on, man. Like
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, okay. We will move on from the defense now. And let's move on from the defense and instead talk about special teams and another coordinator. We mentioned the Quay Walker penalty on that. And like he's trying to make a play. If he blocks that field goal, it's obviously a big moment in that game. Although, like, even if they make it, the Packers are only down by 13 and they have a very solid chance to come back. But Quay is trying to make a play, which is understandable. But, because of, a ticky-tack rule by the NFL, you can jump over the center, but you can't touch him, which is dumb. Like, I completely get that if a center long snapper is like, he is rising his back up after snapping a ball, and a 200-pound defender is mid-jump on his back. Like both of those guys could very well end up with serious injuries. I get the penalty, but I just don't get. I think it's even though this wasn't what like Quay did touch him. I just think it's kind of dumb that if the center doesn't end up being touched by the defender, that the penalty isn't called. Like if you're trying to discourage that behavior, which is what most flags are for, like why is there that speciality? I don't get it, but that's besides the point because that had nothing to do with that game. But like what I we need to start talking about Rich Bisaccia, okay? When he was hired, everybody was so high on him because he had just led, the Raiders of all teams, ironically. He was their interim head coach, and he had led them to the playoffs. I believe the first interim coach in NFL history to lead a team to the playoffs, which was amazing. He obviously is a good motivator. Okay, he's a fiery guy. But the thing that I brought up when they hired him, and I wasn't the only one banging the storm either, was the fact that when he was special teams coordinator, it's not like he was producing all that great of units. And there's been improvement, I would say, for the Packers on special teams. Like improvement from the days of Sean Meninga. Like I went down a rabbit hole today and I randomly remembered that Sean Meninga would say and stuff like in every sentence of his press conferences. So I went back and watched like a press conference from 2020 to hear Sean Meninga say and stuff a bunch of times as fillers. So that was good. But we've improved from those days for sure. There's more competency. You're not as worried when the special teams has to take the field. We have Keyshawn Nixon, which is good. And you got to think that part of Keyshawn's success last year was the fact that he had better coverage. But also, like, there's the dumb penalties have not completely been eliminated. Quay Walker causing that penalty in a crucial moment of the game is like, that is on coaching. That is on Quay because we have seen him be undisciplined in the past, but that is on coaching for them, for the players not being fully aware of these rules. So, like, I don't know, man. I just don't think Rich Bisaccia has done it. You have the Saints with their punt return in the first half of the game 2 weeks ago. And that completely changes that game. If they don't have that touchdown, it's only like 10-0, and the Packers don't need as monumentous as a comeback to get back into that game. So I'm not too high on Rich Bisaccia at this moment. I love his personality, of course, but the results are not there. What are your thoughts on this special teams unit for Green Bay now?
Yeah, well, I mean, this year they really haven't gotten off to a hot start, of course, with the punt return, the Quay Walker penalty, and just penalties all around. But I mean, like when he was hired, like of course, we all thought like, oh my God, their special team's gonna be amazing.
Yep.
But really, you got to look at it like even a competent special teams would be a massive upgrade for this team. Like at that point, and I think Rich Bisaccia has done that for us. Like yes, the like all the penalties and stuff is still there, and you'd want to see more from the special teams. Like I just don't think special teams is going to be perfect. Like it's just one of those things where like I would assume every special teams in the NFL is like struggling with penalties. Something like always happens to go wrong on special teams. There's always that one thing that if they just adjust, like they'll be okay. I'm not completely worried about it yet. I still love Rich. I still think the special teams can be good and at least competent. But, the things are concerning. Like, of course, the Quay Walker thing is concerning, like, because I assume, like, nobody knew that rule because why would he do that? So, yeah, I'm not losing hope yet. I don't think it's such a big deal yet, but we'll have to see how they rebound and work on it these upcoming weeks.
That's fair, and I'm definitely not breaking the glass quite yet. I haven't lost complete hope, and I would say to your point of competence, I mean, like I said, you're not as worried about them whenever they step on the field. That's for sure. And hey, I mean, props to Anders Carlson. He's doing solid. Yeah, so he's doing his part. I don't think he's missed a kick yet either. So
no,
good for him.
Yeah.
Um,
Like even okay, one more thing. And looking
okay.
back, like this, like the punt return. Remember, like when we had like negative like 35 punt return yards. Remember that one year? Like that was
Yeah.
insane. And now look at us. Like Jaden Reed, I think, has like 126 punt return yards. Like look at us go, man. We're doing it. Like look at us. We got over 100 punt return yards this year. Like come on, man. That should be celebrated. Like that is not talked about
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Trevor Davis. Trevor Davis.
Oh my
Davis. I'm just remembering that
God.
name. All right, we need to save for the bye week. We're just gonna have a 5 hour long episode talking about the history of the Packers defense and special teams and the
I love it. Let's
the
do it.
the characters the coordinators that have come with it. I mean, I would
Love
love to
it.
do a deep dive on Ron Zook, Maurice Drayden. What a name. I wonder what
Here we
he's up
go.
to now. So we can look forward to that during the bye week is next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got bye week coming up, so we can look forward to that for sure.
Woo.
All right, on to the offensive side of things. Uh, one thing was Aaron Jones pitch count. I know at first in the game it was like, why isn't Aaron Jones being involved? He was on a pitch count, still dealing with that injury. It was certainly frustrating to see him. Like by the time he got his first carry in the game, the Packers were down 24-3,
I
which
think
isn't
so.
great. But I'm thinking he'll be more involved this week.
Yes.
Also on the offense, this offensive line is showing that it is down 2 starters and is also playing with a few guys that have not lived up to the draft potential. Okay.
Speaking of that, Royce Newman, all right.
Okay.
This man,
Well, let's be nice. Let's be nice.
okay,
But go ahead. Go ahead.
this man made me say that he had a good game versus the Saints. Like he made me say that I was proud of him. I take every word of that back after
Oh.
watching what happened Thursday. What is that man doing out there? Like pay me $20 and I'll go do what he does every Sunday. Like it is not good out there.
Oh.
Like, oh my God, what does this man do? He's flopping around, throwing himself at defenders, it's like kind of just like, whoo, there we go, like, oh, I just don't understand. Like Sean Ryan can't be much worse. Like you
Yeah.
can't get much worse than Royce Newman. Like Sean Ryan has to be an upgrade. Like, come on, he can't be that much worse.
The
Like I just want to see it.
Royce Newman is just doing his best impression of the security guard after when fans at the Ole Miss LSU game were rushing the field, and like the security guard is watching all of these students run past him, and then just for like the hell of it, he just like decides to deck the hell out of this girl, despite letting like 10 others run right past him.
It's funny. That was funny though.
It is a funny video for sure, but I wish Royce Newman did a better job.
Yeah. That man
Yeah.
gives me a headache, like he makes my eyes bleed. Like it's that bad. Like I just can't stand him. Like
Yeah.
I just can't stand him. Like he has passed Don Barkley on my most hated Packer list. Like I want him gone. Like I would take Don Barkley right now, and I absolutely despise
Wow.
that man.
Whoa.
Like, it is.
Let's be careful. Let's be careful what we wish for here. I mean,
I'm not wishing for anything. I'm just saying. I'm just saying what's on my mind right now. And that gets me in trouble. I know that gets me in trouble, and I probably shouldn't speak what's on my mind, but I'm speaking what's on my mind, all right?
That's fair. Hey, I mean, he's definitely approaching Wall of Lame up there with Don Barclay, Byron Bell,
Marshall Newhouse.
Hey, I've loved following Marshall Newhouse in the latter years of his career. I mean, a few years ago when he was with the Raiders, I didn't even know he was still in the league, but he had that viral moment of where he like recovers the fumble and then he like does a flip. It's dope. So I'm not gonna hate on Marshall Newhouse, but back to the 2023 Packers, like you mentioned, we heard all summer on how good Sean Ryan was doing after a pretty bad rookie year. Like, we've heard so much about Sean Ryan, not only from the media that was there day in and day out, but also the coaches seem to be impressed with Sean Ryan. Like, I mean, we have nothing to lose in my in my eyes, but throwing him out there, right?
Like I truly want to know like what they see in him. Like I want to sit
Yeah.
down with like Luke Buckus, and Adam Stanovich, and truly pick their mind at why they are so high on this man after everything he's put on tape. Like why
Yeah.
throw him out there still? Like I just don't get. I don't even get why he's still on the team. Like why is this man still on the team? Like oh my god, I'm so tired of this man. I don't want him to start another game. Like he can sit on the bench. I don't care. But the minute he goes out on that field and starts playing like a full game, like that's where you get in trouble. That's where my head's
That's
gonna
where
go
the
through my
bad things seem to happen when Royce
that
Newman takes this.
exactly. Like, oh my god, I can't stand it. It drives me insane. Okay.
Okay, we will move on from the frustrating topic of the man from Nashville, Illinois. But yeah, the
I'm
offensive line. Go ahead.
I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay. Okay.
Got it
Good.
all in the system. We're good now. We're good.
That's
Let's
good.
talk. Let's talk the positive route. Let's go something positive now. I'm tired of yelling.
I mean,
There's nothing to be positive about, is
I
there?
don't have
There's
anything in
not.
my script about the Packers. Like the main positive thing in my script about the Packers is the fact that the Raiders are bad. So do we want to get to that part?
Just go with it. Just go whatever wherever you want to go.
Okay.
I'll put up with it. I'll
Well,
put up with it.
let's talk about the injuries for the Packers and the Raiders here. Jair, the main one that we have to have eyes on, he was limited today with that back injury. So hopefully he is able to go this week against Las Vegas. For the Raiders, they currently have Devontae Adams dealing with a shoulder injury. He suffered this early on in the game last week against the Chargers. Looked pretty similar to the hit that Derek Carr took against us, where like his shoulder completely nosedives into the turf. Devontae ended up finishing that game for Las Vegas and had a pretty amazing game, might I add. But definitely something to watch as we head into this game. Also for the Raiders, another key injury for them is Jimmy Garoppolo, of course. I feel so bad for Devontae that one of the main reasons he wanted to go to the Raiders was because he wanted to play with Derek Carr, and now that's, not a thing. But, of course, another main reason was his family there, too.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I'm not, like, if Jimmy Garoppolo plays, like, that's good for the Raiders. But, like, I don't know if there's that much of a difference between him and Aiden O'Connell, the 5th-round draft pick for Purdue, the most famous
I mean,
AOC
from
in
what I've
America.
heard from some certain person, Aiden O'Connell is like a future Hall of Famer. So
Well,
I
okay,
don't know. I'm
that
just
certain
saying.
person has heavy Purdue bias, so we will
Yeah, just a little bias there. A little biased.
take his word with not only a grain of salt, but like a whole bunch of salt.
Yes.
But hey, yeah, from what I saw from Aiden O'Connell last week, he was a rookie at doing rookie things. So if we can pressure him, that would be great. But obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be a world beater either. But, I'm sure Devontae Adams would prefer that Jimmy is throwing him the ball. But as a whole, this offense is not great. It's Devontae Adams and not much else. Like Josh Jacobs is good, of course, but he didn't have a great game until last week either. They are currently 32nd in offensive DVOA and 32nd in rushing offensive DVOA. Now, as Matt LaFleur famously said, stats are for losers. Okay, that is true. But I feel confident saying this Raiders offense is #bad. Okay.
But you got to look at it this way though. They haven't went up against Joe Barry, and then that's where everything turns around for an offense, and they will be in the top 10 after this game probably.
You're
That's all
probably
I'm
right.
saying.
You're probably
Yeah,
right.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to hate. I'm just saying it's the facts.
Yeah. So, other stuff on this Raiders team, that's pretty much it for the offense. Except their offensive line, something interesting to watch. Colton Miller, who they kind of reached on in the first round all those years ago, he is a solid offensive tackle. Maybe not worth the contract extension they handed him recently. Maybe not worth that first round draft pick, but he is solid on the left side of their line. But the right tackle, Jermaine Elamorno, I don't even know how to pronounce that name. My apologies. That was an awful attempt too. Jermaine E gave up 3 sacks against Khalil Mack, who had an absolute day last week. He had 3 sacks against this one tackle, and then he had 6 sacks total. So good for that man. But that right side of the offensive line is definitely the problem area for the Raiders. So we'll be looking out for that. And, the Packers have 3 really good outside linebackers. So something to watch there. On defense for the Raiders, Max Crosby is an absolute game wrecker. We know this. Very good player. Very interesting guy. Seeing what Aiden Hutchinson did last week to the Green Bay offensive line has me worried for what Max Crosby could do. The Raiders defense is not great at any other position, really. Solid pass rushing group, but just not a lot of guys. Inexperienced team. Let up 38 points against the Bills a few weeks ago, which, is a really strong offense. But look, this should not be a tough game for the Packers, even considering all the problems they have. This should be one that they put away early. All right. So I'll leave it at that. We just got to look out for Devontae Adams. Got to look out for Max Crosby. Got to monitor that quarterback situation. So we'll see how it is. I do hope we get the Devontae Adams and Jair Alexander matchup that we, and Devontae's time in Green Bay heard so much about, just how much Devontae helped Jair improve as a player. Iron sharpens iron, all that good stuff. So I can't wait to see it in live action on Monday night.
Yeah, I'll be absolutely devastated if we don't get that. Like, it will just be a gut punch if we don't even get that. Like, even if Devontae's on a snap count, I'll still hurt because we won't get it for a full game, and it'll be devastating.
Yeah.
But knowing Joe Barry, freaking Jair will be on Buddy Boy Bobby Bill, the wide receiver 6 for the Raiders, who's now wide receiver 3 for some reason. So,
probably
stuff like that will happen.
Yeah, of course. All right. Let's do the superlatives for this week. For me, for biggest key, I'm going with stopping Max Crosby. He's a game wrecker. Aiden Hutchinson wrecked the game last week for the Packers offense. Let's just stop him. Big B, what is your key to this win?
Getting Aaron Jones involved. Very simple, I would think. Aaron Jones, fully healthy now. He's not on those snap counts. Get him the ball as much as possible. Good things will happen. We know this.
Yep.
We've been asking for this since 2018. It still seems like we don't get it as much as we should. Just get him the ball. We will win. It's very simple. I do this in Madden all the time. Get Aaron Jones the ball at least 30 times, and you'll win. It's simple.
Yes. F, X, and Y. I think it's as simple as that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And then for our biggest concern, my answer, run defense. We've talked about it enough. Josh Jacobs is good. Packers run defense has been not good, to put it lightly. Big B, what's your biggest concern?
Yes, and this is only if Devontae Adams is fully healthy, because everybody and their mother who is a Packers fan knows how good Devontae Adams is. This man was the best receiver I have watched in my lifetime so far. To be fair, it's only been 17 years, but it's still my lifetime. He is that dude still. It doesn't matter who's throwing the football, Devontae Adams will produce. So, I mean, this man's scary. I love him still, though. I just love him so much. But he better not go off or else I'll cry. So, it's one of those things.
Look, I'm going to bring up, one of my favorite arguments when you're talking about Devontae's value over the years. It doesn't matter who the Raiders have at quarterback. on Monday. To your point, this man went off with Brett Hundley as his quarterback.
I love bringing that up, by the way. That's just like
Yeah.
so amazing. Like Davante Adams made Brett Hundley look like a solid, like okay quarterback.
Well,
that is hard to do, by the way. And I just
Yeah.
love Davante. He's just that dude.
definitely.
Shout out to
I
Brett
don't know
Hundley, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to him. I don't know why, but I saw a video of him on my Twitter feed lately. I don't know what he was doing, but he was Brett Hundley.
Nice.
So yeah. Finally, who is going to go off? Who is going to eat? I am going with Lucas Van Ness. Hey, he might match Khalil Mack's 6-sack performance. Raiders offensive line had some real tough time dealing with Mack last week, and I think Finesse is kind of that same power/finesse guy that Khalil is. So I think he's gonna have a breakout game on Monday night on prime time. Not a good prime time slate for NFL this week, and we got Chicago, Washington tonight. Sunday's game should be good though, between Cowboys and 49ers, and then I don't think many people outside of the two teams' fan bases will be too interested in Packers Raiders. With that being said, though, Big B, end us off. Who's your guy that you see going off tonight?
Okay, but first, you do realize like Lucas Van Ness is like outside linebacker 4, and like Rashawn Gary is still the starter, right? Like you do realize this, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, but so you're saying like every
Lucas Van Ness
Lucas
is
Van
still gonna
Ness snap,
break out
he's getting a sack. Is that what you're saying?
virtually, yeah.
Okay, we'll take that. Anyways, I'm changing my answer from what I put in the little Google Doc thing that we got here. I'm gonna say Preston Smith. This man has been silent so far this year. I need him to go off on Monday just to reassure everybody that he's still alive. Like I don't remember him doing it like one thing in this year. Like I don't even think he's been even out there, to be honest. Like I can't even recall seeing him on the field. So Preston Smith, have a big day, my friend, and we still love you. We still cheer for you. Go off.
I've been fighting the
Let's
Preston Smith is underrated train for quite some time now, or mainly Preston Smith is overhated is a better way to put it. So, yeah, I agree with you. He has been very silent this season, and hopefully, this game he turns it around. All right, that's all we got for you today on this Packers versus Raiders preview. You know the policy for us. If it is a win, we will be recapping that game. If it's a loss, we will be in bed for the rest of the day. So you can depend on that. We appreciate you tuning in to episode 144 of the Underage Packers podcast. We'd appreciate it if you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss another episode, or follow us on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. And then also follow us on all the socials. That we'd greatly appreciate it. Other than that, we thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you sometime soon. Either recap the Raiders game or a deep dive on the Packers defensive and special teams coordinators over the past decade. And we will talk to you later. As always, go Pack, go.